Plaintiff Larry DeFoy was born with jaw deformity and had to take years of speech therapy. Eventually, Larry became a drug addict, but he's now been clean and sober for 20 years. Larry claims he paid the defendant to repair his car, but he did the work improperly, so he's suing. Defendant Joseph Anderson and his wife Casey say Joseph has been a mechanic for 20 years, and he likes working for himself so he can also stay at home and care for his disabled son. Joseph is countersuing because he claims the plaintiff's wife defamed him online.
Start with you.
So a little about myself. Never really had an easy life. I had a jaw too small for my mouth, so my tongue overlapped my jaw, so I had to take speech classes all the way until I was a junior in high school to learn how to talk and how to pronunciate words.
Is that a condition or is just isolated incident?
Isolated
but is that
incident.
A condition others have?
Yeah, no, it was something I was born with.
Just isolated for you. You haven't heard of other folks being born with that?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering, is it a condition that a lot of people share and we just don't, most of us don't know about?
It's very
I like
rare.
to be a know-it-all, so I just like to hear stuff, get to know it, so I can go back to my family and try and impress them. And I got to know it all, and they all roll their heads up, they all roll their eyes up to the top of their head and say, "Dad, please, go ahead." All right.
So when I was about 15, I got into drugs and alcohol. When I was 23, I went into rehab, where I now celebrating over 20 years of being sober.
My man.
All right.
All right. Happy to hear that. How did you do it? Let's stop there. 20 years. You had to go to NA quite frequently at some point.
Well, I was in NA for 3 years.
There you go, at least. Okay.
So now I am currently married to my wife. We've been married since March of last year. We have 11 kids and 2 grandkids.
Hold on, sir.
Yeah.
The math isn't right here. Me and my wife got married 2 years ago. And since then, we've had 11 kids. How do you have 11 kids in 2 years, sir?
Quintuplets.
Well, I had 5 kids coming into the marriage.
Okay, you already had children.
And she had 4 kids.
All right, pre-existing children. Okay, so you married, settled, family. How old are your children? What age range?
They range from...
You know, I know you don't remember no 11 numbers. Go ahead.
So
youngest?
From the youngest, 3 years old, all the way up until 27.
3.
3 years old.
You can't stop, can you? All right, we gotta send you to rehab. Back to the other rehab. You're gonna be going to another meeting. My name is Larry, and I'm an addict. Hi, Larry. Well, let me share with you all my experience this week. I saw 3 women, and I just couldn't control myself, because I'm a sex addict. And I got 11 kids with my wife, and she won't let me have any more. So what am I to do? You're not a sex addict. You're a good family man that wants to have a big, large family, but it's time to slow down. You got a 3-year-old, and it's time to slow down. I don't even know you, but it's time to slow down.
Plaintiff Larry DeFoy hired the defendant to repair his vehicle, and the defendant claims, after he did the work, Larry's wife defamed him online.
And let me hear some background from you, sir.
My name is Joseph Anderson. I'm a 20-year mechanic. I'm known around town as the honest mechanic. I'm a father of 2 children, wife, husband, 10 years. My boy, he was born with meningitis to the brain 6 years ago, and it took over 3/4 of his brain. Day by day, it's how we take it with him. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I can do the mechanic work on the side and take care of him throughout the day when he needs it. Normal job just don't. 6. A normal job just don't suffice for me because of his medical conditions. I feel like it's better for me to be close at home with him, so that way I can be there if something was to happen and take care of him. My family means everything to me. That's the reason why I do this kind of work.
You got time to go to the barbershop.
My wife told me I wasn't allowed to come here without it.
It's late today, doctor. It's late today. All right. Debbie would be happy, wouldn't she?
Oh, yeah. She'd like it.
Debbie is our stylist here. She makes sure everybody looks appropriate. So I say she would be happy with you. Okay, so you take care of your son, honorable thing. God bless you guys for that continued commitment and challenge in your life. And you say you're a mechanic on the side. How long did you train or practice full time?
Mechanics, I've worked for several shops around the town that I live in. 20 years, I can pretty much diagnose a car by ear.
Okay. Well, what's wrong with my 1999 Cadillac?
What sound is it making?
2000. All right. And anything else you want to tell me about yourself and your family?
Other than me, you know, my life revolves around my family. If it wasn't for my wife doing what little bit of work she does for the community by taking elderly people food, she works for the senior center in town.
All right, you all both got the same amount of love and credibility from me because you both do things that I admire, and that is showing folks recovery and you all helping the community and caring for a family member, your son. So hats off to you guys. Now tell me why you're suing him.
So beginning of March of this year, my car was starting to make some noises. So my wife decided to make a post on Facebook looking for a reliable mechanic. And that's when Mr. Anderson responded to the post and met up with my wife to look at the car. Off the bat, Mr. Anderson diagnosed the car as being the rack and pinion along with the CV axles. So we did a three-way phone call over the phone where I was introduced to Mr. Joseph over the phone. And we started talking, and we made the arrangements for him to come over the next day to pick up the vehicle along with the CV axles, where I ended up paying Mr. Anderson the $13.75 cash to fix the vehicle. In the process, Mr. Anderson ended up texting me back stating that him being a mechanic, that he needed to bring to my attention that my sway links and my outer tire rods were going out. So I agreed to have them replaced, and he ordered the parts where I picked them up and dropped them off later that
Show of hands, anyone ever went to a mechanic for one thing and that's all they said was wrong with your car? Thank you. All right, not one hand.
Your Honor, I would like
I know you would hold your hand up. You are the mechanic.
I just want to note that I offered straight up in the evidence, I offered to do that for no pay extra whatsoever, no labor.
All right. Is that true?
That is true.
All right, well, say that first. Say he saw it and he offered it to do it for free, Your Honor.
Plaintiff Larry DeFoy hired the defendant to repair his vehicle, and the defendant claims after he did the work, Larry's wife defamed him online.
Go ahead.
So on March 8th, the car was ready for pickup. And so my wife and I went over to his residence. I paid him the $375 balance. And he told me that I needed to get the car aligned, which I knew because with the outer tire rods and the rack and pinion being bad, I had to get it aligned. So the next morning I went to the shop to have it aligned. And that's where all the problems started. When the alignment was being done, the shop asked, have you had the work done recently? I said, yes. And they replied, well, whoever touched your vehicle really messed up the car. So I looked underneath the vehicle and I noticed that some parts were not installed that I purchased or put on wrong.
How do you know they were put on wrong if you're not a mechanic? How do you know another mechanic put something on wrong?
So on page 5 is a picture of the outer tire rod. This was supposed to be a brand new part that I put on, and as you can see, it's still rusted out, never been replaced. On page 6, if you notice that tire rod on the driver's side is put upside down. So the shop said whoever did the work put the passenger side on the driver's side. And if you look at both pictures, there's supposed to be lug nuts on both tire rods that were not put on.
What has been the discussions since this time? What has been said?
So I I texted Mr. Anderson that morning and explained to him that he never tightened down the lock nut for the wheel bearing lock nuts, which caused my wheel bearings to go bad.
What did he say he was going to do, sir? Did he say he would repair or give you your money back?
No.
What was the last conversation you all had about it?
The last conversation he told me was, "I'm sorry, bud, but I don't have the expensive impact tools."
Did he ever admit to doing anything wrong?
No.
He never promised to repair anything or give you your refund?
When we first agreed and met the first day, he said he guaranteed his work.
All right, let me hear from you, sir.
No, I told him that I'd guarantee new parts, not used parts, which he brought me used CV
Same
axles.
parts, he said work, so go ahead.
Well, the work is...
Work includes installation. He shows me pictures that appears they're installed wrong.
Absolutely. The tie rod ends were done at 9 o'clock at night, and so were the sway links for free. Those were done so he can get it to the shop so they can align it and possibly see if there was anything else that needed to be done. I did not drive the car. Note the rack and pinion could not have been put in wrong, and it wasn't used. It was brand new from the store. I had to take the old one off as a core to turn that in and get it put on the truck or the vehicle. I did that, and when he brought me the CV axles, I told him the CV axles, I do not guarantee used parts.
I don't know what y'all talking about. What is that?
Those are tie rod ends.
Are they new or old?
One is new, one is old.
So he showed me this to say you did something wrong. Do you admit doing anything wrong with this?
I see that, yes, sir.
What did you do wrong?
Well, being at 9 o'clock at night, I mistakenly grabbed the wrong one.
All right, good enough. And what happened from there? Anything else? Go ahead.
Well, I didn't really get a chance to offer him any kind of repair work because if I had I would have offered him a cheap wheel bearing to fix his vehicle, and I wouldn't have charged him half as much as I would have anybody else, knowing that I have a reputation to keep. I'm known as the honest mechanic. I don't do anybody
You're very
wrong.
honest based on what you've already said. Go ahead.
And I don't want to cause anybody any kind of drama. I'm a family man. This is what I make my living off of. My reputation is what I live by.
Plaintiff Larry DeFoy hired the defendant to repair his vehicle. And the defendant claims, after he did the work, Larry's wife defamed him online.
So tell me the exchanges regarding either the refund or car repairs, the exchanges
much.
you all had.
Pretty much, I will see you in court, was his response.
Okay.
And he tried to sue me for $8,000 in our local court. $8,000 when I only charged him $750 for the whole job, which should have been charged $3,000 for the type of work that was done.
You only charged how much?
$750.
So how are you suing for $3,800, sir?
Well, the $750 was for labor.
Mm-hmm.
The $1,000 was for the rack and pinion that he bought.
Parts.
For the parts. Then I had to go out and buy new outer tire rod ends because he'd failed to put the correct ones on with the lug nuts. I also had to replace the wheel bearing and wheel bearing hub on one side because the wheel bearing lock nuts were tight.
What's your counterclaim, sir?
My counterclaim is defamation of character.
How so?
His wife pretty much drug my name across Facebook and cost me...
You have to sue then.
Sir?
You have to sue her. Unless you can prove that he encouraged her or was an accomplice.
No, sir, I don't. All I have as far as that, when you're man and wife, you're as one.
Bring that Bible in. Let no man separate what God has joined.
That's next.
Yeah.
Let no man set asunder.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it is? All right, sir. So your wife defamed him and y'all are one. Now let's talk this out, sir, because debts between a husband and a wife, yeah. Joint debts are jointly owed. Only thing that's not joint coming into a marriage are the things you brought in. But anything happens within that marriage, you get the light bill in your name, you don't pay it, well, you were living there, you're the husband, they're going after you too. You got to pay the light company. So you might be on to something.
Yes, sir. I mean, my wife, she had bills. She has bills. I pay for her gas. I pay for everything she does. And I work in my front yard with no lift, a hand jack, hand tools. After this situation, I purchased a Impact, so that way I wouldn't have any kind of run-ins like this anymore. I'd much rather have it done, if I have to have an Impact, I have to have an Impact.
Tell me about your wife's defamation or her statements. Did she tell you she was sending them? I can't imagine she not.
No, she did not.
She didn't tell you, the guy that fixed our car, I'm going to put something out saying that he's a bad businessman.
No, because I work 12-hour days, 12-hour shifts. So, what she does is on her.
Well, sir, I'm going to grant you your judgment because he did it at night. Everything follows that. You said you did it wrong because it was 9 o'clock at night. Judgment for the plaintiff. Defamation, has to be against his wife. Bring her back in here, then we can hear her case. Glad you're honest, but that hurts you. $3,875 was because he did it at night. Even if I don't believe that all of it was caused by that, it's his testimony I will go with over yours because you did do something wrong.
Yes.
He did nothing wrong. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day. Counterclaim dismissed.
Why would you accept the job if you did not have the proper tools? Why?
Because I've never ran into that problem before. You can't get car work for free.